Hey everyone, just want to welcome you all to a special edition of the Sharpest Tool podcast, where we take the sting out of marketing. My name is Josh Smith. I'm the host and vice president of internet marketing for home services over here at Scorpion. And joining with me today is Tim Flynn, the owner of Winters Home Services, and Dan Dowdy, the founder of Built for the Trades. I want to welcome you guys both, and thanks for being here on the show today. We're here to discuss the impact of the coronavirus on home service businesses. Obviously, it's having a pretty big effect. So thanks, guys, for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. We're practicing social separation by several thousand miles today.
This stuff is just too important to not talk about. So I'm glad we're doing this. Mm-hmm. Even though I can't hear your voice as warmly as I do on the microphone in the studio booth.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, I think this will be really good. There's obviously a lot of concerns about the issue and a lot to cover. So let's go ahead and get started. Talk about some of the topics that are directly impacting the trades and home services right now. So I'm kind of curious. First, let's talk about the pandemic, what it's doing to business owners. How have you both seen this affect the trades as a whole? Let's start with you, Tim. Go ahead. Knock it out.
Sure. Well, thanks for picking on me first, so Dan can listen in. I think that everyone's just a little bit afraid. Everyone's this is a first of its kind. It's the first of time that really the entire country's been shut down. So, we're protecting our own. We've separated inside staff from outside staff. We make a lot of phone calls to our clients to see if they have any signs, or we let them know none of our people have any signs of being sick. We look at how our people are doing everything from looking and touching credit cards to their iPads, how they're wearing their gloves, how they're protecting their face, educating them, a lot of education.
Yeah. What about you, Dan? What have you seen?
I think the first thing that really hit was just some communication, both internally and externally. So I've seen a lot of business owners out there sending emails to their team, kind of letting them know what the process is going to look like for protecting themselves, staying home if they're seeing some symptoms of being sick. But I'm also seeing them actually screen customers as well when customers are calling about the customer's health. And then the other side of it is a lot of business owners are sending out emails or doing social media posts, just telling customers what the company's doing to protect the customers, really.
Have you seen it? So those are some interesting proactive steps that businesses have been taking. Have you seen them change their business operation in any way, particularly as it pertains to their employees, advertising, anything like that?
I'll jump in here. I would say the first thing I've seen is, I think the first reaction was canceling any kind of training meetings or groups where we're having, more than 10 people together. But it's really allowed an opportunity to go virtual in all areas of the business. And so you see people using Zoom a lot. So that's a pretty fun way to communicate with your team. So I'm seeing a lot of that. What about you, Tim?
So, as far as my people and my crew is concerned, we're really, my crew is looking at having their world really slow down a lot. I think one of the biggest mistakes that owners could be making at this point is slowing down the amount of advertising they do. We're looking at all non-essential expenses. And one of the essential expenses is, looking at our marketing and spending a little bit on marketing. And this isn't just because we're, Scorpion clients. We want to keep those calls coming in. Yeah. We want to send out more social media about what we're doing to protect the clients in a time like this. So we're doing that. So that's a real larger change of making people more aware of how we're doing our business, really.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting about the advertising piece. When people pull out of the market, I think a lot of people don't always see that it actually brings the cost of everything down. The less advertisers you have in any given market. So it does present some interesting opportunity there when it comes to advertising. Because one of the things, and we'll get into this too a little bit further down the road, but one of the things we've been seeing as we've been analyzing trends on the advertising side is search volume hasn't stopped. It hasn't slowed down. If anything, it's actually up people are increasing the number of searches that they have, especially in areas that as it pertains to the virus and germs and cleanliness and things like that. So how have you seen, I'm kind of curious on the leadership side, bringing some of that out. How do business owners in the trades really lead their teams through times of crisis, whether it's the coronavirus epidemic, pandemic or something else?
Well, I'll jump in here. I think the first thing business owners need to do is make sure they have the right mindset, because with the fear in the world today, if you just turn the news on and then come to work, you're scared, right? So the first thing we need to do is have the right mindset and be positive. And I think, no matter where your business is at, you need to be communicating with your team and being visible and start looking for opportunities. I think kind of like Tim was touching on earlier with advertising, a lot of business owners say, well, we got to start cutting expenses. And some people start cutting marketing first. And I think that's the first wrong thing to do, because it's a great opportunity. Because think about all your competitors and what they're doing with their marketing. I would add more money to my marketing and really ramp that up to ensure my team has some work, because customers are still going to need us. And the second thing I would do is get on social media. And if there's any time to get uncomfortable, now is it. Because think of all your homeowners sitting at home on their phone, looking at social media. You could actually be communicating with them pretty easily through video or just posts, letting them know that you're open, the precautions you're taking to serve them, and so on and so forth. And the last piece we've been really pushing is doing some outbound calling and just checking in on existing customers. More of it just as a serving act, but you never know. Some customers could use some service. So
yeah. How about you, Tim? How have you kind of led through these types of events in the past?
So I've been trying to, if you have non-essential people at the office, I actually consider myself a non-essential person at this point. But my only job is to be communicating back and forth with everybody in the office, people that are taking the call takers, the managers, getting them ready for their day, getting them prepped, because I don't know if one of those guys are going to go down. And if they do, I have to step in, right? So I've really been kind of going back from a distance and coaching on a daily basis, talking in the morning, talking in the afternoon. It's a little bit tough to make budget, with what's going on. So you just kind of put that to the side.
Yeah.
Focus more on the function of the day and keeping people safe. Making sure that the customers know that they're safe, especially that we care about the employee. Number one priority. Make sure you show everyone that you care. Communication over the top, text messages, phone calls, Zoom meetings are a big thing now. So that's probably just a little bit of what I do. I could probably do a lot more though.
Yeah. What's interesting too, I've seen some business owners want to kind of put their entire business on pause because of state closures and shutdowns we're experiencing in California right now, where the state's basically issuing a mandate for businesses to shut down that are non-essential businesses. And what's interesting, in almost every case that I've seen state over state, home service businesses are considered an essential business. So there's no reason to really shut them down. And if anything, make themselves more present. So I just think that's an interesting distinction that we don't need to react as rashly to, but we got to figure out ways to kind of step things up in terms of being present there for our customers. What types of job functions do you see as kind of the non-essentials, like you mentioned, Tim, that are more work from home at this point? And how do you communicate with them to make sure everybody's continuing to move in a good direction?
The biggest non-essential is the president. Everybody else is essential. Call takers,
and
even the service providers and the managers. I actually, in this case, am non-essential. Mm-hmm. All I do is I go in there and just take up space, whereas I could coach that from a distance.
Yeah. How about you, Dan? Do you have anybody else that you find works from home or has the ability to do that?
Yeah, this really just depends on the company and the technology they have. Of course, I think in 2020, most CSRs could work from home. If they have internet and a phone, they can. But it's not. I can't speak for all companies.
Yeah.
But it really just depends on kind of what level this gets to. Because a lot of companies have taken preliminary precautions to where we're at right now. But I think as a leader, one thing that you need to be doing is coming up with a plan and communicating that to your team.
Mm-hmm.
What does this look like as it progresses? And so some people may just be doing like partial shifts in the office where, let's just say they have 5 CSRs and now they're only running like 2 or 3 to keep them spread out and apart from each other. But the next step, if it continues to progress and get worse, it may be that, they're shifting and working from home.
Yeah. Dan, I'm kind of curious, like what should a home service business owner implement immediately in their operations right now when this thing is on the outbreak? It's probably coming into certain states at different speeds. What should they be thinking about right now?
I think as far as a business owner, they need to think about their financials and ensuring that they have, 3 months of operating expenses in place, whether that's cash in the bank or a small business loan. But as far as with the team, I think a plan is ideal, and communication with your team. And so that's probably my top 2.
What do you think, Tim?
Well, I mean, an emergency preparedness plan, right? I think the only plan that I had in place is for a hurricane. And if a hurricane came through and we lost power, we could fire up the generators and have our phones and computers back up and running, we say within 45 minutes. But as far as like the pandemic playbook, 3 weeks ago, we sat with 3 of the managers and we were talking about ordering Purell, nitrile gloves, masks. And 3 weeks ago, we couldn't get masks either. We ordered Clorox wipes as well. So with all that said, it still isn't enough. That was 3 weeks ago. Let's talk about, Dan has a very valid point, 3 months worth of money in the bank, right? So many owners that are hearing this right now are not fortunate enough to do that. And, you're hearing about all these small business loans for business owners that are going to be available. And, you got to apply. You probably have to like cut off a finger to get a business loan or just run an airline. Maybe they'll give you some money there. But, long story short is that I don't think that money is going to be available for the average guy like we are. And to have that 3 months worth of money is really something that, a lot of guys just don't have. And if they did have it, they probably would have invested it back into the company. So certainly a goal to keep in mind as we move forward and as we get through the next, 2 or 3 weeks. But, what do I think? I think that whatever we're doing now, we're 3-4 weeks late. And we just got to catch up and do the best we can to keep our people safe, prevent them from going out and keeping social distance.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you think, how are you finding, I know a lot of customers have called in to several businesses from what we've been hearing on our end and canceling appointments. Have either of you seen ways that are effective to mitigate those cancellations?
I'll let you go, Tim.
I'll take it. Okay. I haven't. I have had probably, I don't know, a dozen or so cancellations, and it's it's the mind of the client. And if they want to cancel, they can cancel. We can reschedule. I think if we want to get creative about our next season, we can talk to our clients about working in the basement and making phone calls back and forth upstairs, so we can do our work through the basement and the outside. I think that the air conditioning season would lend itself to that. And some people listening to this broadcast may not have basements, and you have to travel in and out of the house. What does that look like? Don't know yet. Are we going to have biohazard suits?
Hazmat suits?
Yeah, hazmat suits to go in and do a cleaning on a furnace. So, hopefully as the weather warms up and, like the H1N1 started to go away in like April and May due to the warmer weather for some reason, I think that with all that said, I think we need to rewrite the playbook on how to handle a customer's needs as we go forward the next 3 weeks. And it's wide open.
Totally. Dan, what about you? You're based out in Texas, a little bit different than Massachusetts. So,
it goes back to planning. At this point, for business owners out there, is work up some scripting to try to at least secure that customer for the future. Because at the end of the day, the customer calls to cancel, and you let them know all the precautions your techs are taking, and how can we get into the house, and can we do this virtual, all these different things, and they still say no, then I would have some kind of scripting in place to where we could say, okay, let's touch base in 3 weeks. We're going to give you a call. What number do you want to call? What time? And that way you're not losing that customer, but you're able to come back to, because in these days, a customer could cancel and then in 3 or 4 weeks, Google you again and call your competitor. Yeah. So it's just a reality that we live in. And so I would have some kind of scripting in place to where we can get back in contact with that customer.
Sure. Dan, I want to throw this one your way. What should a home service business owner implement in their company in terms of their best practices to best protect their customers? What other things can we do?
I mean, there's so many things out there that we could do. I would say the first thing we need to do is just really, I guess cleaning is ideal, cleaning ourselves and our trucks and our tools. I think providing our techs with extra cleaning supplies to do double the cleaning in customers' houses. But ultimately, at the end of the day, as a small business owner, we're looking out for our team first and foremost, because if they're not healthy and we're putting them in unhealthy situations, not only is it not good for the present, but for the future and their long-term relationship or working with your company, it's not going to happen. So I said screening customers originally, but I would give my technicians permission to screen the customers as well on site or over the phone. If they don't feel comfortable in that situation, I'm not going to force them into that situation.
Yeah. What about you, Tim? Anything else?
Well, as far as protecting customers further down the road, I mean, I wanted to talk about a little bit, I see a lot of companies out there throwing ideas out. Should we be offering clients a different kind of air cleaning quality system? And should we be trying to sell them this or sell them that? And, I don't look at these times as a time or an opportunity to sell something to a customer, but more to educate a customer. I think that part of what we're going through here is that we really got to fortify people's castles. And, as soon as I walk in through my front door, I want to feel safe in my own house. And I want to feel like my drinking water is top notch. I want to feel like the air going through my house is clean. And I want to feel like, my hot water is going to be, protected. And I want to make sure that all this, my basics of life are going to be, sustained, so long as we have power, right? Mm-hmm. And so, with all that said, I think that we could probably do a little bit of a better job about educating our clients in the future about what they could do to help keep their house healthier, right? And I think that now it looks more like, if you start to offer these things now, it looks almost predatory and more like taking advantage of people. So I think that keeping the customers safe starts and ends with us educating them a lot more.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's a fine line there. And I think, unfortunately, I've seen it crossed a little bit. Some people can see this as an opportunistic time to really, like you mentioned, Tim, take advantage of the customers. And that never bodes well for business, first of all. Second of all, lacks the integrity that a lot of home service business owners need to have in times like this. But we've seen it particularly on the HVAC side, where the communication, and I don't think business owners necessarily always do this intentionally, but it's just an interesting point to think with for everybody listening who's an HVAC provider. Things like air quality, air purifiers, air filters, air scrubbers, when they have those types of items that they're trying to push on clients and customers that have the ability to clean the air, remove germs from the house and things like that, making sure they don't correlate that with like removal of sickness or make it like, hey, get this thing and you'll never get the coronavirus, right? Unfortunately, I've seen some language that hedges that line a bit too much. So we just got to be really careful about communicating that and making sure that that's really, really clear to clients about what it does and what it doesn't do. So that way there's a lot of transparency with the consumer. I think that could rupture that trust.
I think fear selling itself is never going to be the way to handle a client long term. You'll turn and burn if you do that type of work. You'll turn and burn some clients. I think that educational selling and selling that makes people think about an option that you're offering and then getting that done, that's perfect. But as far as the fear is concerned,
Yeah.
Yeah, when you think about serving your clients and really showing that you care about them, I mean, if you have some CSRs that are maybe slow because their phones aren't ringing, I mean, going back to just outbound calling your customers and literally just checking on the health of their family and just saying, we're here for you. And that's it, because that will turn into some good leads for you. But it also, if you do 1,000 of those, I mean, you're gonna have 1,000 happy customers that you actually care enough to call out and check on them and their family.
Totally.
And I think that's really important. But I'm just going to go back around one more time to social media. It's such an easy, cheap advertising source. And if you're targeting your customer, your community, I think people just want to be entertained, see that y'all are real people, that you are taking precautions. Don't sell anything.
Yeah.
Just get out there and just talk about it. I mean, just like Tim was saying earlier, educating our customers on what these things do without even selling is going to be big. So.
And the data's in too. I mean, we're seeing, the data polls are coming in where we're seeing 50% less of people going out into supermarkets. More people are spending time at home. We're seeing increases of upwards of 30 to 35% of people spending more time on Instagram and Facebook. And those are the channels you want to get in front of your people at this time. Be present with them too, I think, is just being present with your customers and present with your employees. So Tim, I want to lob you this question. What can a home service business owner do to retain employees during this time? I know we're going through obviously an unemployment crisis right now. We're seeing unemployment numbers rise, especially in the hospitality industry. It's the benefit of being in the home services industry is we're still considered an essential business. But we don't want to hold, we got to hold out for the possibility that people could still leave us during this time for a wide variety of circumstances. So how do we retain employees during a crisis like this?
Well, I do want to, I'm going to come back and answer that question, but some of the statistics I like that you and Scorpion provide are those statistics like who's on Instagram, who's on Facebook, and those go up. And really the battle for, making sure the house is 100% comfortable for somebody while they're home.
Yeah.
Certainly going to be part of that argument. And now getting to your question as far as the keeping and retaining all your employees, right? So I've heard of a few things. I've heard of national companies that have, like, say, are in 3 or 4 states. They went up to their employees and they said, you guys can get laid off if you want for the next 2 months. Now, if you're an owner and you say that to your people, I don't think you care very much about who's working for you. And the idea is that we'll get somebody else further down the road because those employees now, they don't feel valued. I think that I've seen some smarter operators maybe split the weeks by having half the staff on Monday through Wednesday and then Wednesday through Friday, or they'll stagger them over the weekend. I've seen that happen. In my situation, we'll give everybody one call. That's where we're at. And we're really not dialing out for maintenance right now, only because the temperature is a little bit cooler. Hasn't been 55, 60 consistently. Today happens to be over 60, but that's just a rare day. But what we're doing to retain people is to give them something to be busy with all day long. And then if it's a good opportunity to cross-train. If you have a guy that's in a different department, slide them over. Yeah, it's an expense to the business. It sure is. And it's going to hurt for a little while. I'm fortunate enough to be like what Dan advocated and said, you get a couple of 3 months of expenses in the bank, right? So I'm fortunate enough to be there. I think that 3 months is going to go by pretty darn fast if this thing lingers around. So 3 months is probably going to be a good start. So for my opinion, I would say to you that don't be the guy that says lay off the guys and let them pick up the sticks later on after this is all over. I feel as though that's sending a very negative message to someone that has been putting themselves out on the line for a company, your company, for a long time. Then all of a sudden things get a little dicey and you basically fold up the house like a cardboard box and pick up and go somewhere else.
Yeah. Dan, you have any thoughts to add to that?
I do, man. I think it's, it all boils down to, in times like this, we need to lean more on our values and our vision and what we're, why we're doing what we're doing, and really ensure our team that we have their backs. I tell leaders out there to only state the facts and stay optimistic, but at the end of the day, we have to be real And I think communication is huge. So, if we're a leader who's locking our door and hiding in our office or just shooting emails and things, I think being somehow face to face, whether it's virtual or in person, and just working a game plan with your team, because as this progresses, like Tim said earlier, we don't know what this is going to look like. But let's just say we have 5 different levels of progression in this pandemic that we're in, and then we're able to communicate that to their team. So as we progress down the levels, we know at a certain point we're going to have to split hours as a team, maybe split some pay as a team. It's going to get uncomfortable for everybody if it continues to get worse. But I think the best thing we can do is actually communicate well with our team.
Yeah, definitely. This might seem counterintuitive with the fears out there, but some of our clients over at Scorpion are actually getting an upsurge in business, which is really interesting. So far, this is some of the data that we've seen with our clients. So as of today, it actually costs 11% less for a home service business to advertise compared to the same time a week ago. And leads to home service businesses, and these numbers, by the way, are on average averaging together all the clients that we run across the nation. Leads to home service businesses are up 15% compared to 3 months ago. They're up 14% compared to 2 months ago, and they're up 3% compared to last month. So what's really interesting too is leads to home service businesses this week alone, they were up 150% Tuesday morning compared to Monday morning this week. So we're seeing this uptick and this increase in terms of search volume. We're even seeing things really obscurely, which is really kind of comical, but really funny. We're seeing people run search queries for things like, do air purifiers kill viruses that are increasing by like 4,000%. So the search volume is definitely there, people wanting information and people actually wanting to get a hold of a home service provider. Do these things ring true to your businesses and the businesses you've worked with, Dan? Dan, we'll go ahead and start with you, and then we'll toss it over to Tim.
Yeah, I think, the data you're sharing with me just tells me right away that a lot of businesses are cutting their marketing. They're thinking that's an expense, and they're saying, you know what, we're going to kind of just cut our marketing, cut all these extra expenses we have. But to me, it just screams opportunity. It's like, why not? Yeah, we can cut some expenses that aren't necessary, but marketing's not one. Why don't we dump some of that into our marketing? Because we just talked about retaining team members. What better way to retain team members than to actually spend some more to get some leads and keep these people going? So I think we need to be on the offense when it comes to marketing. And then information like that, Josh, is so invaluable with customers searching, does an air scrubber kill a virus? Because what a great social media video, right? You could talk directly about it and educate a customer. Yeah. And they're gonna remember that video for sure.
Yeah. Tim, thoughts?
Just jumping on what Dan said, I just wrote it down. Play offense every day.
Yeah.
Right. You got to play this game so that you're going to be putting your company and your people to win. Stay healthy, right? So the win is also taking care of our people. Even, one of the things I like to say is, you just set the table for the employees to arrive and take care of things. And, we give them all the tools they need to survive and to thrive. The training, the coaching, the talking, the health equipment. And I don't even know if I'm giving them what they truly need to not get infected. But all I can pass is, CDC information that I'm learning at real time. So as far as what to do, I'd say that we're going to play offense and stay positive, because it will end, right?
Yeah.
When it will end, I don't know, but it will end.
Yeah. And I think from the marketing side, just on our end, we talk a lot about what's the best approach right now? What's the best approach at any given time? But right now things have changed, right? Consumer behaviors changed. They're doing things differently. They're behaving differently online than they were 3 weeks ago. And so this is a good opportunity to potentially pivot strategy or take a look at where you're placing your marketing dollars. There is an increase, a surge in search traffic, just if you're thinking with respect to your online, your Google pay-per-click or your PPC campaign, your paid search campaign online, there definitely is an increase in those searches for plumbing services, HVAC services, electrical services, really a lot of home services. They're not stopping. But there's also a very unique opportunity to kind of double down when it comes to your social media, right? So you got the increase in Facebook and Twitter and in Instagram. And so this is a real opportunity to double down in those areas, writing blog posts, doing social media posts, getting in front of, the video stuff like you're mentioning, Tim, and Dan. This is a real opportunity to really get some more social engagement, which in turn builds the brand, which gives you a real opportunity to capitalize on, in a good way, not like a bad way, but capitalize on the opportunities that are here in a way that's really productive and helpful to people for where they're at. I don't think this is an opportunity to be opportunistic, but the search volume is telling us what customers need. And as business owners, this is an opportunity for us to give customers what they need, where they need it, when they need it. And so it's just an interesting thought in terms of how we approach our marketing as business owners. And I like the stock market analogy too. I mean, stock market's tanking right now, which is good for good investors who know the trend that comes with the stock market going down. This isn't the time when you want to pull out because that's what everybody else is doing. This is a time when you want to double down because everything's so cheap. And so there's a real opportunity to get in front of more dollars, get in front of more searches for the same amount of dollars when you're continually investing. So you guys have any thoughts on that in terms of how to approach the marketing side that you've seen?
I don't have any more really on the marketing side besides, making sure that we are communicating with our customers through some kind of email marketing is important.
Yeah, totally.
Right now as well, that's definitely another area. But in this whole thing, we need to be looking for opportunities. And the cool thing is, if we leverage this correctly as business owners, there's going to be a lot of talent floating around out there as far as technicians and people that we can pick up for our office staff that have left companies who didn't make it through this. So I think if we play our cards right and we stay looking for the opportunities and positive, it could end up being a great thing.
Yeah. Tim, any other thoughts?
No, I think that, I'm still buying Starbucks, I'll tell you that much. Like I buy Starbucks.
You can still drive through.
Yeah, man, still go through the drive-through. So where's the opportunity? You got to keep asking yourself. That's still it's still like, it's a Patriots analogy, 27-3. What was that Falcons game, right? You're down in the game. It's never over till it's over. Where's the opportunity, right? So you got to dig down and find out where the opportunity is. And you got to talk about the opportunity with ethics.
Yeah.
And if the opportunity is educating a customer about how to be more comfortable in their home, should this happen again, then that's a clean, ethical conversation. Mm-hmm. If you want to have a conversation with your employees about how much they mean to you and, I want to protect you, let's put our heads together and find out if we should, get biohazard suits in the truck. Let's have that talk too. Or at least we'll issue them when the time comes. Yeah. But man, oh man, these are like today's a new day. Yesterday was a new day. Tomorrow will be a new day. It'll be better and better every single day. But we got to learn something from this. There's going to be an opportunity here somewhere. And I'd love to see anybody listening to this message to reach out and share what their opportunity is and what their idea of opportunity is. Because I think what you're seeing here in another trend is more businesses coming together to share what's going on. We're going to have more of a collaborative going on about what the good people are doing and what the best people are doing. And that's what I want to be part of. I want to be part of a bigger and better thing. And I can see right now that, this world's getting very small. So the more we're talking about this, this podcast is great to talk to other businesses through, because if you have an idea, we want to know it. We want to know what the best practice is. We can tell more people about it. We can even teach it. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that opportunity.
Definitely. Well, guys, this has been all great info for home service business owners, people in the trade. So I'd like to ask you both, just kind of in closing, if there's anything else you'd like other business owners to know during this current time in our nation. Tim, why don't you go ahead and first, and we'll close with Dan.
I'd have to go piggyback off of Dan. I'd say, have some money, some dry powder saved for taking advantage of opportunities. Maybe there's a technician out there. Maybe there's somebody, a business or something else you wanted to grab further down the road. But, put some money aside and be prepared for the next big thing, right? No one knows it's going to be. No one saw this.
Totally.
But it'd be good to know.
Dan?
Have a plan, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So planning's big. I think momentum is big. With everybody kind of stopping their training and stopping what they're doing in their business, in their marketing, I think all that's about momentum. So I encourage people out there to go virtual as much as possible and keep that momentum going forward. And really, in a time of fear, I encourage people to be the fearless leader and be optimistic. Look for the opportunities, communicate with your team, only state the facts. But at the end of the day, we have your back as business owners, and we're here for the long run. And when we come out of this, we're going to be better because of it. So I would just keep encouraging my team like that as a leader.
Awesome. Tim, Dan, I want to thank you guys both for taking some time to chat about this. Really appreciate your guys' time and insights.
All right, Josh, appreciate it.
And for everybody listening, wherever you might be listening at, definitely hit the like button and pound the subscribe button like you mean it, so you can get more of this awesome content from all of us here at the Sharpest Tool. And we'll be keeping you up to date with everything that we continue to find as we identify marketing trends. If you're an existing Scorpion client, talk with your marketing manager so you can get access to all those trends. We currently have a resource page for all of business owners, whether you're a Scorpion client or not, talking about this stuff consistently. So definitely check that out. And until next time, we'll talk to you then. Thanks, guys.